Bigfoot enthusiasts. Scott here from Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research.
And Hannah from SquatchingWithHannah.com, which is soon to become just plain old HannahBelet.com. I guess it's official now.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Why is the paddy wagon all orange?
I don't know.
Oh, goodness.
So, we got a great show tonight. We're going to be talking about the Nimiipuu. And you're going like, what is that? That is actually the real name for the Nez Perce Indians. Nez Perce was a French thing for pierced noses, and I think they only had one person that had a pierced nose, and that name stuck. I don't know why.
You can pretty much call most of the millennial population now Nez Perce, though.
Yeah, we could.
Nez eyebrow, or eyebrow purse, or
yeah,
belly purse, or...
Well, Nez means nose. So,
I know,
yeah.
Nez means nose.
So
multiple purse.
Anywho, how are you guys tonight out there? So, anyway, we're going to get into this, but first we're going to talk about what's been going on. We did miss last week.
Because we were off being romantical.
Romantical. It was our anniversary weekend. And we
did so much.
We did so much.
Okay, so since we last chatted with you, a lot has happened in our lives. And probably the most dramatic and life-altering event that we have had in the last 2 weeks is I broke the coffee pot.
Sadden. I think this is like coffee pot number 3 since we've been on the road.
With that said, I just want to make a clear point that at 50 years old, I can now say with absolute certainty and conviction that glass coffee pots are the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
And so the excitement, the big anniversary gift, I guess that's the justification, right? Not that I need justification to spend money, but we got a fancy dancy new coffee pot, and it's stainless steel. So I will never break this coffee pot again. I'm so excited, and it makes really good coffee.
It really does.
It's so much better than, you know, the cheap $13.99 on sale brand that we got.
And it has a button that says strong.
Yep.
Poke.
So that's
Poke
what's
that
in my
every
cup
time.
tonight is like awesome new coffee, and from my stainless steel coffee pot. I want to say hello to Craig Crandall, who you'll be hearing more about a little bit later. So we bought a new coffee pot, and then we really just kind of spent, this is the first week since we've been here that Scott has had, he just flat out told the camp boss here, I'm taking a couple weeks off. I have built a building by myself.
Yeah, so
it is bigger than our trailer.
Yeah, so it's not completely finished yet, but
close enough.
It is closed in. It's got doors and roof and all that stuff, so they can start moving in. And I'm just got the siding to put on later, so yay.
Yeah. Anyway,
so we're taking a couple weeks off, and our anniversary week
was last week.
We did a couple little adventures, and you didn't turn your phone off.
I didn't turn my phone off. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so hey Dale, just saw the chat. How you doing? Or should I look out this window and say, hey Dale? Okay, but anyway, the first thing we did is we drove down to Portland. Or Portland, Maine, not Portland, Oregon. That place is not going there. Anyway, and we went to the International Cryptozoological Museum,
which of course is
Lauren Coleman.
Lauren Coleman's baby.
Yeah.
And I got like this totally rad new T-shirt. What do you think of this? This is like that Aboriginal Bigfoot design, only it's like gold on brown instead of multicolor. I think it's just totally rad and cool.
Yeah, it
is.
So, anyway, I gotta say something about the International Cryptozoological Museum. And I know it's not just particularly Bigfoot, it's cryptozoology. I mean, he's got everything in there, which is totally awesome.
And the bobblehead of everything too.
And you got the bobblehead. Yeah, it's totally awesome. There's only 2 things they let you take pictures with in there, and it's the creature from the Black Lagoon, which really isn't a crypto, but it's kind of cool.
It was based on a crypto.
Yeah, and it's based on
some kind
that
of fish.
Oh my gosh, this fish right here.
Yeah.
But this fish that was supposed to be extinct like millions of years ago, that they still catch every once in a while today. So, oh my gosh, the name just went out of my head.
Anyway,
you
could take a picture of a statue of a cryptid movie character.
Yeah, and a Bigfoot. They have a stuffed Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Recreation thing, but other than that, I had a.
What were your expectations?
My expectation was a cryptozoological museum. Being an anthropologist, having worked in museums myself, and set up displays and was a what's that weird word they have for people?
An exhibit?
No. The people who work in museums.
Docent.
Docent, yes. Was a docent and took people on tours and stuff like that. So I expected a museum.
Did that word throw you off a bit? It set you up for something.
It set me up for something that wasn't. So when we got there,
make no assumptions ever, folks.
So it's a great place, and Lauren has been in the Bigfoot world for 5 million years, and he's got a great book. We sell lots of his book out of our store. I've got no problem with Lauren Coleman at all, but the International Cryptozoological...
Except that he wasn't there. That was a problem.
Well, they said he's rarely there, and I kind of expected that anyway, but it's not a museum. I'm sorry to say, it wasn't a museum. It was 2 floors of hallways of cases, looked like his bobblehead collection. There was nothing labeled, nothing said. It's like, I got a case full of Bigfoot print casts. And then there was a case full of Mothman, figurines. And a case full of Jersey Devil figurines.
And a picture that says, which one looks like Patrick Stewart? The Neanderthal man?
Yeah, Neanderthal man. Yeah. It looks like Patrick Stewart. Yeah, but...
It was more like a sideshow Bob.
Yeah. It kind of felt really sideshowy to me when I went in there, because I was expecting, cryptozoological museum. Science! And I got somebody's collection of stuff. So that was a little sad.
You did get your picture with the creature from the Black Lagoon. And we got some rad new t-shirts.
And we got some new t-shirts. So we supported them. Anyway, that was that. And then the next day we went on a Bigfoot and honeymoon hike excursion that we do every year.
Oh, yes. You've all, well, not you all.
Not you all probably don't know, but we started this tradition where actually... It
was an accidental tradition.
Well, actually, on our honeymoon...
Some of you have heard this. Please bear with us.
Yeah, on our honeymoon, we went backpacking. That was our honeymoon trip. So... last year we did 18 miles on the PCT. We hiked Pacific Crest Trail, and
that was an accident
in the Mount Hood area. And so this year we're here. We're at the last section of the Appalachian Trail,
which goes up Mount Katahdin.
The Forbidden Mountain.
Now I have got to say, I have gotten really strong. We've both gotten fit and stronger, and we've worked really hard on our health, and we're both Pacific Northwest hikers. So when we see a mountain that's only 5,000 feet tall, what was our thought?
I thought, oh, piece of cake.
We thought...
Because we did a mountain on our honeymoon 8,000 feet, so...
And we I have to say, we done thought wrong. That thing kicked our kabukis.
Yeah. Yeah, and I gotta, okay, I got to say something to you people from Maine. Out west, we have this wonderful...
It's like Rockies on west.
Yes, we have this wonderful invention for your hiking trails. It's called switchbacks. Here, the trail goes...
Well, explain what a switchback is. They might not know.
Most everybody knows, but what a switchback is when you're going up a hill, you zigzag up the hill, so you're not climbing straight up. But Mount Katahdin and the Appalachian Trail
apparently everything east of the Rockies.
Yeah, is straight freaking up. No switchback whatsoever. So we're hiking up there, and we wanted to get to the top. We got past the tree line. So
we got past the tree line. Now, to get to the tree line, would you stop looking at that?
I'm reading the chat. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So to get to the tree line, and here's the other thing: the switchbacks imply that there's a trail. So if something says it's a trail, it's a trail. This was called the Hunt Trail. This was not a trail. It started out as a trail for about the first 217 feet. And then it crossed a river. And after that, it was boulder after boulder after boulder after boulder after boulder. Look at my guns, man.
Yeah, we were just climbing boulders at one point. Well, at most of the point.
It was just bouldering this mountain.
The half. Yeah, and then we got past the tree line. We broke the tree line. What a view! It was awesome. I should have put a post.
We're working on
a video up for that. But then it hit straight rock walls that you had to climb.
Yeah, like with the rebar rungs that you find at Half Dome in Yosemite, and I was not prepared for that. Now, he's a former professional rock climber.
Yeah, so...
I haven't. I mean, no. And then, so I tried. I really did. I tried. I started climbing that rock face. And the wind was whipping around me, and I couldn't see where I was going because my hat was down. I'm trying not to have the hat blow off. And I'm too scared to hold the hat on because I was terrified that if I let go of the boulder at all, I'd just fall right off the mountain. And I think I might have been sobbing.
Yeah, you actually were. But it was kind of funny. At one point, she said, okay, what were we doing? We were going to...
kick fear in the face!
I was going to kick fear in the face! Kick fear in the face! And then she headed to the rock and she goes, no. It's
There's
over.
My guns again.
Yeah.
Wait, I can't... There. Nope. There.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right.
So he was a total gentleman, and I have to say, coming down those boulders is harder than getting up them. I did really well getting up the boulders.
So it was what, 2.5 hour hike up?
No, it was a 4-hour hike up.
Oh yeah, okay, and then we did.
And it was 5 coming down.
5 coming back down. Yeah.
And any thoughts of being romantical after that hike were completely demolished because we walked in the house and just face planted on the bed.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, it was fun, and there's like the Penobscot Indians here have a legend that you're not supposed to go to the top of that mountain because that's where this evil Pomolo lives.
Yeah. Our thought was, boy, that is a great vision quest. You get up and down that mountain and still alive. It's like, welcome to the tribe, man. You are a man.
Yeah, you are.
You don't need any peyote because you climbed the mountain and survived.
Okay, yes.
So what really ticked me off, though, is like there was like a 13-year-old boy who went up the whole thing in 3.5 hours. It's like, wow. So, and as it turns out, there is an easier path up. But the idea of easier, we looked at the topo map. Yeah. It's not really easier.
It's not.
So anyway, maybe another time when we can have belays and things like that and cables and I don't know.
So anything else? Anyway. I need to grab a piece of paper.
You're going to go a piece of paper. I got a funny story to tell.
Yeah, and then we're going to get into our Bigfoot story for the evening. Yes.
So anyway, we are 3 months into our stay in Maine. About 2 more months left to go. And I wanted to, this is really funny because, you know, it's our anniversary. By the way, we've been married for 23 years now. And Scott said to me, it's the funniest thing a few days ago. He walks in, I don't know what I was doing, sitting in, doing my social media work and all that. That's where I work, is on social media. And just, you know, kind of putzing around, and I'm here on the computer, and he comes in and he looks at me. I must have still been in my pajamas or something, I don't know. But he looks at me and he says, Are you happy with our new life? Our new life being, you know, full-time RVing and, you know, and not working for the man or anything. And I said, well, yeah, I'm happy with our new life. Why do you ask? And so, guys, you'll understand this. He looked at me with that look on his face, like the look where we know you're thinking, I don't dare answer this question because there's no correct answer, and I know I'm headed to the doghouse. You guys know those questions, right? Anyway, and I asked him, so why do you ask? And he says, well, honey, how long has it been since you've put any makeup on your face? And actually, you know, you guys have journeyed with us. You started out with us when we were still back in Oregon, still holding down the jobs, and I was coming to this show with, you know, looking all coiffed and beautiful, and now I'm like this totally au natural girl. In fact, I don't do my hair anymore. I don't sometimes even put on deodorant anymore. I'm just like becoming one with the nature, and I love it, and it's fun, and I do love our life, and that was the funny story.
One with the Squatch.
One with the Squatch. Wednesday we probably smelled like a Squatch.
No, we definitely did.
And actually we thought maybe even Bigfoot was looking at humans trying to climb that mountain going, man, they're dumb idiots.
Okay.
All right.
All right, yeah. So one little housekeeping thing. I see Craig is on. Sorry, Craig. We were going to try to get him on. I didn't send him an email until late. He didn't see it until late, and it was just a few minutes, so we didn't get things worked out.
But we have got a great story. By the way.
Craig, we got your package is on the way to you with some extra goodies. So there it is. We'll get that in the mail tomorrow. But
all right, so before we get started with our story, let's see. Let me go up, because Scott, you are going to die if you don't know what's in there. There's a lot of chatting. We love the chat.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Yes, my shirt is awesome. Whoever Bloody River 93 is, by the way, it's a great handle.
Yep.
And we got, yeah, Johnny's on. Squatching Cowboy, that's a great name too.
Pappy Two Bears.
Pappy Two Bears, I gotta shout you out. Let me tell you what, this guy is my Facebook friend under his real name, and I don't know if he wants everyone to know that, so I don't say it. But like every day, I tell you what, he is a font of wisdom. Mm-hmm. And every day he sends me an image and some kind of like a spiritual teaching quote that has come from his own soul depths, and I really appreciate that. It's a beautiful heart you've got there.
Bigfoot and Ghost Paranormal Mason.
Yes,
hi.
And he likes my guns.
All right, Mason. And I like Bigfoot and Ghost Paranormal.
Yeah.
Little secret, I have done some ghost hunting stuff myself, and
it's so much fun.
I know, and we did it in California. In fact, we got to spend a day at the Winchester house. It was totally awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And Johnny's on, Marie's on. Okay. All right.
So here we go. We're gonna talk about what we're gonna talk about. Right. Hold on, before we go any further, we're gonna talk a little bit about. We have a Bigfoot report. It's from one of you guys.
And it's kind of
it's okay. Craig said I could shout him out. This is from Craig.
And this is in response to our show 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Which was all about the woo.
Yeah, and it is kind of in a response to that. And it's kind of near and dear to my heart. You guys know I'm a Native American anthropologist.
And with some Native American in you.
And I got some Native American in me. But one of the things that really got me into Bigfooting is all the great Bigfoot legends that come from our Native American tribes.
They're the best.
They are awesome, and I've heard lots of stories. I've talked to lots of Native American elders and got to hear it firsthand. So we're going to dive into the Pacific Northwest's one of, I think, I don't want to put one tribe over the other, but one of my favorites. Well, let's put it that way. One of my more favorite, if that's a word. It's not my more favorite tribes. I meant they're all really cool, but the tribe is called the Nez Perce.
And tell them why it's one of your favorites. Come on, be honest. Family story time.
Family story. Yeah, that's mainly because, yes, I do have Native American blood in me, and it is Nez Perce. So, but in fact, my great grandmother was
Old Chief Joseph's daughter.
Yeah, Old Chief Joseph's daughter. So that was my great grandmother. Anyway, I think that was two greats. Anyway,
so is that why you want me to worship you, because you're royalty?
Yeah, that's it. No, I think I have maybe an eighth. So yeah, very little. So the Nez Perce tribe, if you saw the title at the beginning, it's Nimiipuu in their language, which means the people. Which most tribe names translated means we're the people. Like, we're people, dogs are dogs, cats are cats.
Well, they're people too.
Yeah, and well, they're
the cat people.
a tribe, basically, a people, yeah. A type of people. But
and you're the human people.
The human people.
You're
so
human
basically,
people,
they're called
and I would challenge anyone to suggest that a dog doesn't think they're people.
So we're going to jump into this, and we're going to be talking about a place called Two Pan Campground. Now, Craig sent us this report, and we're going to come back to this real quick, but I'm going to kind of give you a map here and show you where it's at. If you know where Joseph and Lostine and Enterprise, Oregon is, in the Wallowa Mountains, part of the Wallowa-Whitman National Forest, and if you look down at the bottom of the map, kind of over right there, somewhere right there, where it says
the red dot.
No, not the red dot, but over here where it says Halfway, Oregon. Oh. That's where my family's from. I grew up in Halfway. Well, I didn't grow up in Halfway, but my family's from Halfway. We spent every freaking summer in Halfway.
It's down two towns from the red dot.
Yeah, so
it was Cornucopia, then Halfway.
I'm very, very familiar with where that red dot is. Two Pan Campground. It's a trailhead that goes into the Mina Mountain Range. Craig, I spent every summer of my life camping in Two Pan Campground. I am very familiar with that. My family owned horses, and about 3 times a year during the summer when school was out, we would pack everything up, go to Two Pan Campground, hop on the horses, ride back into the Minam and into the lakes. There's a dozen lakes up there, and camp, and then ride our horses out or into Red's Horse Ranch.
You're just having a massive nostalgia.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, I've must have been in the Minam 1,000 times.
And after having hiked Mount Katahdin,
yep,
backpacking in there, whenever we do it, it's going to be a piece of cake.
Yep.
All right.
So, I'm very familiar with this area, but if you look just due east of where that Two Pan trailhead is, you'll see a little dot on the map that says He Devil. That's across the Hells Canyon, the famous Snake River Hells Canyon, and there's a mountain range called the Seven Devils.
You're going to hear more about that in just a little bit.
Yeah. Do I want to do that first or
Well, you've got this first, but it's whatever you want.
Yeah, I want to do the... Okay,
you want to do the video first?
So we're going to do a little video and tell you about the Nez Perce and the Seven Devils, which the Nez Perce, the Wallowa Mountains, where this is, was their home country. In fact, Old Chief Joseph at the end of Wallowa Lake, which is just north of Tupan Campground, or northeast. That blue thing under Joseph, that's Wallowa Lake. At the end of that lake, old Chief Joseph is buried right there. And I've visited that grave 1,000 times too. So this whole area is Nez Perce land, homeland, not a reservation. This is where they were when the white man got here. So here's a legend about that area from the Nez Perce Indians.
Formed about 150 million years ago, the Seven Devils mountain range has seen some history. But their history is much more colorful when told through the tales of the Nez Perce Indians.
What the legend kind of refers to is kind of a story or a rendition of a story of 7 beasts that were devouring children years ago.
The story goes, these 7 giants would head east out of the Blue Mountains of Oregon to inflict their terror on the tribe. So, the last leader of the Nez Perce asked Coyote for help.
Coyote was able to come up and formulate a plan to trap these 7 monsters that were devouring our people at that time. So he dug 7 large holes and he filled it with magma, liquid hot magma at that particular time. And he set up a trap and he called a challenge to the monsters, and they came and answered that challenge and were consumed as they fell into those 7 large pits.
Coyote continued to cover them up with more lava and debris, petrifying them in place.
Of course, those 7 beings, those 7 mountains, turned into what we now know as Sasakimex, or the 7 Devil Mountains. That's our Nez Perce word for those mountains.
And Coyote wasn't finished. He then struck the ground to open a canyon at their feet to keep more giants from crossing over, which is why we have Hell's Canyon. So here the 7 Devils rest, rising nearly 8,000 feet above the Snake River. And while geology is not lost on the Nez Perce, it's these origin stories that live on side by side with science.
These stories are ways in which we teach ourselves, teach our young people about our relationship to the landscape and to this life that we carry on.
All right. So, the 7 Devil Mountains are actually captured Bigfoots. What do you think? I bet you didn't know that. Which goes along with the Nez Perce legends about Bigfoot in that area. And it's kind of interesting, and I've said this before, that about half the tribes think that Bigfoot is this evil monster, stay away, boogeyman thing, and the other half of the tribes in the nation say it's a benevolent helper. And I think just that's what interactions they had with them at some time, what kind of shaped their stories. And some of those, I think, is just stories about, you know, the boogeyman to keep the kids in the teepee at night. So that's one thing. So if you didn't know that the Wallowas, or the 7 Devils just across the river there, are captured Bigfoot, and Bigfoot has been seen many times. We get a lot of reports from the Wallowas. Yeah. Lots and lots of reports in the Wallowas. Lots.
Halfway is a total hotspot.
Yeah. In fact,
we should get him on, our halfway friend.
Yeah, we should. In fact, not too long ago, you know, we tracked about a half a mile of tracks in the snow. In fact, we have a video about it. So,
okay, you should link that video.
In fact, we will put that in the description below later. Okay, so
are we ready?
I think we're ready. So we're going to talk about Craig's experience. Does he have a date on there? It was a while ago.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I'm not sure how old you are, Craig, but if you are at least as old as I am, this is at least 3 decades ago.
Yeah.
So we were on a weekend. Well, I'm going to start that over again. I just want to say out the gate here that I'm getting real tongue-tied today, so just bear with me. We were on a weekend-long Earth Science Club field trip to Mirror Lake and Eagle Cap. There were about 20 of us in our junior and senior years of high school. Craig just said he's 69, so we are looking, this is like 50 some years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So back in the 70s.
Okay.
Roughly 1970, doesn't it? It was a weekend-long event. We left after school on Friday and would return on Sunday afternoon. On Saturday afternoon, a young lady developed a serious upper respiratory infection and high fever. By evening, we were worried we needed to get her to a doctor right away, and a stretcher was constructed from 2 poles run through a couple of sleeping bags. Nice bushcraft there, right? 4 of us volunteered to carry her the 7 miles down to Two Pan Trailhead from Mirror Lake. We took off down the trail after dark and were joking and clowning around, trying to keep the sick girl's spirits up. 2 miles or so down the trail, I heard one of my friends say, "Stop, listen." Far up on the ridge between the east and west forks of the Lostine River, we heard a strange scream, wail, and whistle all in one. It made my ears and head vibrate, sort of. A couple of my friends had us set the stretcher down and take a break while they took a few steps out of the grove of trees we were in and looked across the meadow. I heard them discussing, arguing about some lights they saw. They were saying things like, "Those are not flashlights or lanterns. Those are not coyotes. That can't be elk." They returned, and since the girl in the stretcher was asleep, my other friend and I stepped out of the grove. About 200 yards across the meadow, next to another grove of trees, were 3 lights, about the size of soccer balls, floating in the air. They couldn't have been flashlights because they illuminated the terrain in all directions. They couldn't have been lanterns because they were moving around in the air too far from any trees to be supported by anything. The screams and or whistles were coming from on top of the ridge above the lights. I knew they couldn't be coyote or elk because I knew what they sounded like. I've since heard Bigfoot calls exactly like them. My friend said, "There's somebody camped up there and they're goofing around with us." I said I didn't know, but I had fished up that valley just before dark. You could see any camp there, and no one was camped or had come up but our group at Mirror Lake. The place was all ours. No one had come from any direction. We need fancy, like, radio theater organ music.
Yeah.
We went back to our friends, and one was insisting to the other that those were Bigfoot screaming on the ridge. There were a couple about 400 or 500 yards apart. He explained that his uncle knew all about them. His uncle was a revered member of the LeGrand community. LeGrand is the big town in that area. And those lights were often with them. My other 2 friends were ridiculing him. I kept quiet to avoid ridicule. Suddenly, our flashlights went dim. Not instantly, but about over 10 seconds. A feeling of dread came over us. I knew it got me, and I could tell they felt it. We shut up, turned off 3 flashlights to save power, and began picking our way slowly down the trail. Every so often, a wailing scream with an underlying high-pitched whistle accompanying it drifted down from somewhere near the top of the ridge. They were following us. The screams and whistles didn't really change in pitch, like with an elk, which turns into a whistle from a growl.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't several coyotes always howling at once. They don't do that. Coyotes and mountain lions don't whistle. At least one had moved from above and behind us to right above us. They followed us down the valley for what seemed forever. I kept looking back for the lights and saw a glow, but couldn't tell what it was through the tree line we were traveling through. We used up a couple of flashlights getting to the lower end of the hanging U-shaped valley. Those batteries should have lasted all night. Occasionally we heard screaming wails on top of the ridge. It was unnerving, but we said nothing, just picked our way down the trail in the dim light. When we got to the end and took a break before heading down the switchbacks, I wandered out of the trees to look across the meadow. Coming back, I told Colby the lights were still there. He said, "I know." As we went down the last 3 miles to the trailhead, the screens faded and stopped, and the lights did not follow. At last we made it to the trailhead and took Virginia to the hospital. The doctor said we got her there just in time. We went back to the trailhead in the teacher's international travel, all to meet the people who had carried our packs down. They had left the lake at first light, saw and heard nothing. Later I asked Colby, my friend with knowledge of Bigfoot, if he had informed Mrs. O, I assume that was their teacher, about the Bigfoot part of our expedition. He said he did, and she told him to shut up about it and forget it, or we would never get to go on a field trip to the high lakes again. So we shut up and never mentioned it again. I forgot about it until a while ago.
And there you have it.
1968, by the way.
Yeah, 1968. So on the map here, this is the distance to the lake. It's about 5.77 miles in a straight line, but that's not a straight line. There's lots of switchbacks and stuff on that trail. Trust me. So, I have, like I said, I've been in that area a million times. And we've camped at that lake, at Minham Lake, at Mirror Lake, at Lost Lake, and there's another one I can't remember the name of, but
all the lakes
up there. And this is some rugged, steep, middle of nowhere mountains. It is very remote. I can guarantee you that, people. Have I had any experiences there? I have not. But my mother experienced that exact same light phenomenon, and we were camping near a place called Red's Horse Ranch. There's actually this little tiny cabin
with great burgers
in the middle of this wilderness area, and the only way in and out of there is hike many miles, horseback in, or they do have a plane that flies the people who own it in and out of there. It is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Craig just said if you want to check it out, there's just type in Minham, the Minham
MYNUM.
Yeah, and look it up on YouTube. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is a phenomenal place. In fact, there's a place called Minham Lake that's a man-made lake in there, and it was made in the late 1800s, early 1900s by a team of horses pulling a plow to move the dirt to make a dam, a flat blade plow with teams of horses. And the guy who actually built that lake up there in that mountain was my neighbor in Somerville, Oregon, and he's since passed away a long time ago. But I mean, he was old when I was young. But so I know a lot about this area. Now, my mother's story, the lights.
Remember the last show 2 weeks ago, we brought up the legend that wherever Bigfoot are, lights follow.
Yeah, the Miwok Indian in the Miwoks natives in California, in Yosemite Valley area, they have a legend that wherever Bigfoot goes, the light follows, which is really kind of interesting. Can we explain it? No.
Craig says that his wife grew up in Somerville. That's what she said.
Well, we probably know each other, Craig. So, in fact, the guy who built that Minham Lake, his last name was Craig. Not his first name, but his last name was Craig. Tom Craig was his name. And
anyway, back to your mother's story.
Back to my mother's story. She was laying out one night by the campfire. This is what?
Is this when you guys were camping as a family?
Yeah, we were camping as a family out there.
So this would probably be in the mid-70s by this time.
Yeah, it was in the mid-70s. And I didn't see it. I was asleep. But her and Bonnie Craig.
And by the way, Craig does know Tom Craig. And I don't know that word. The Omohundros?
Oh, I don't know them.
But, so, okay. Tom and Bonnie Craig.
Yeah. Well, it's Dallas and Bonnie.
Dallas and Bonnie.
Dallas is Tom Craig's son, and Bonnie Craig was his wife.
Okay.
Bonnie Craig and my mother were sitting out.
Because they were besties.
They were besties, yeah. And they saw some lights going through the forest. And they first thought it was somebody hiking in with flashlights, which is kind of stupid at midnight, in the middle of that forest. Because, lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my.
But she saw 3 lights, her and Bonnie both, dancing through the forest. They weren't up in the sky. They were dancing through the forest. And she at the time told us about it, and she had accredited it to UFOs, actually, but they weren't in the sky. So that was an interesting story, and that's from that same area, maybe 10, I don't know how much longer, probably 10 years after Craig's story. So, are there still Bigfoot there? Absolutely. I have got reports as much as last year in that area, in Lostine, which is the entrance in there.
Okay, so Cosmic Grandmaster, wow, I love these handles tonight. They would like to repeat the bit about the Miwok tribe and the Sasquatch lights. Are you talking about orbs and strange lights? So why don't you share that Miwok legend?
Okay, the Miwok legend, and there's not much to it. They just said what the Miwoks. Now, this is the Miwok tribe from the Yosemite Valley in California. The Miwok tribe goes from the Yosemite Valley all the way to the coast. I mean, they have
it's huge.
Huge
Area.
But the group that's in Yosemite Valley have a legend that said they call them Yayali. That's their word for Bigfoot, which means hairy man, and they believe that Bigfoot's kind of benevolent and like a big brother kind of thing, a protector in the woods. But their legend says that anywhere Bigfoot goes, a light follows. Now, I don't know if they're talking about eye shine, which I don't think so. They actually say a light,
like an orb of light.
An orb of light follows Bigfoot in the woods.
Now, last week we were tossing around the idea that maybe light is talking about enlightenment or wisdom, but based on what Craig's story is and what your mother saw, maybe there's more to this than meets the physical eye.
Maybe. We don't know.
Anything's possible in the quantum field,
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, and it's not the first time, and probably not going to be the last time I've heard of lights and Bigfoot corresponding. Can we explain it? No.
At least not yet.
Not yet, but maybe someday. That's what I got.
So, take a breath. This is kind of an intense. This story was a little intense. That's why I kind of stopped in the middle and said we need like a dramatic radio theater organ, because I had to stop and breathe for a minute.
Yeah, and kudos, Craig, to carry somebody I know what that's like. I was a combat medic in Iraq. So to carry somebody on a stretcher for that, I think it's probably the trail's like 7 or 8 miles. I know it's a ways.
Yeah.
It's kudos hiking out of there.
That's hard.
That's hard. And at night, oh my gosh, it's even worse. That's just crazy. So kudos, man.
Yeah.
That was tough.
It was really interesting because when we were hiking up the trail this last week, the trail. Yeah. Anyway, when some of the people we met, we actually got to be, what is it called? Trail angels? We got to be trail angels.
Yeah, trail angels.
In case Sherpa Mike is watching, we hope you made it down okay. We actually gave a thru hiker a ride from the entrance of the park to the trailhead, which was a good 8-mile drive. So it would have taken him quite a bit of time just to get to the trailhead. And that's what you are. When you help a thru hiker, you become a trail angel. Anyway, it has nothing to do with anything. But he did tell us a story about how a 300-pound woman had actually made it to the top, but had broken her ankle on the way down. And it was too foggy to send in a helicopter, and so they had to send a team of paramedics up the mountain with a gurney to get her and carry her down on a gurney. And I just was like, oh, so yes, to carry someone out, that's huge. That's huge. So Cosmic Grandmaster says, I've seen these lights. They sometimes stay stationary on the side of the hills, yellow, red, etc., but when the lights move, it's usually blue or white. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've heard, is either a blue light or
a white light. Mostly white lights. I say predominantly the stories I hear are white lights. Yeah. Now I hear red eye shine a lot. That's in fact, I've seen the red eye shine. My partner and I spotlighted a Bigfoot across the canyon, and
Craig says the lights were kind of bluish. So
that
bright white that becomes blue over time because it's on that spectrum. So Craig says that, after talking to the teacher, my knowledge, you're not alone. In fact, most people with Bigfoot encounters don't say anything because of stigma, because it's not something you talk about in polite society. It's right up there with, like anal alien probes and things. I'm getting there.
Okay.
So, did the Miwok tribe mention if they took notes from Sasquatch on teepee building? The tribe's teepees look very squatchy.
The Miwok tribe, and I worked with them for 4 years, so I know a lot about the Miwok tribe. Their teepees, they do look kind of squatchy because their teepees aren't really like what the traditional teepee you think of with the poles, wooden poles, and the skins covering it. Their teepees are actually cedar bark.
Yes.
They cut big sections and tall sections of cedar bark and lay them on top of each other to make a teepee.
And let me tell you, I love tribes. The Nez Perce are known for their beadwork, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. The Miwoks, their basketry.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Their basketry is brilliant. They could probably make a teepee out of reeds and it would be watertight.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting. There was oh gosh, I forgot her name already. It's been years.
The elder woman.
The elder woman.
She must have been 117 when we knew her.
Yeah, and she was still making baskets. And the Miwok, they actually use cedar. They use a lot of cedar. Cedar's like their thing.
Cedar's grows like a weed down there.
Yeah, they use cedar root to weave their baskets, and
keep talking.
What they could weave baskets so tight that they hold water. Okay. It was amazing.
And so there's
and they built granaries out of the same structures that they used to make their teepees out of. Their main staple diet was acorns from oak trees. And if you
have ever tried an acorn, you will know.
You'll know.
That's why they were lean and fit and thin.
Their food
sucked.
No, No, they had this way of leaching the tannic acid out of it by putting it in baskets in streams and leaching it. I mean, they had this whole system. It was awesome.
Pemmican is gross.
Yeah, pemmican's gross. But anyway, they would make a bread out of it. It was totally awesome. Anyway, and acorns, they would store them because acorns, you got to have the right year for the trees to produce acorns, because some years they don't.
It's like every third year.
Yeah, something like that. It's kind of weird. It's not every year kind of thing. So what they would do was they would build silos and fill them with acorns out of the same thing. So it's kind of awesome.
Seeing the end of the current nonsensical state of affairs in all of our lives, if any of you ever have the opportunity to go to Yosemite National Park, go to Yosemite Village and tour, because they got a
Miwok village
right there
inside Yosemite Village in the park.
With tribal members that still live there and still live in the traditional manner. It is the most mind-blowing, inspirational, phenomenal thing. I mean, it is a real celebration. I would say it really is. I mean, it beats Temasclet, it beats the Nez Perce, the interpretive center, by 1,000-fold. So go to Yosemite Village and visit the Miwok village there, because you will see it live. You will see it, people really living the life, and it is a celebration of those indigenous peoples. It is just phenomenal. It's hair-raising. It's so awesome.
It is. Yeah. No, the Miwoks are not related to the Chumash.
What is their origin story?
They come from the Central Valley in California.
They are not Paiute.
They are not Paiutes. Paiutes are on the other side of the hill.
Our government, in all of their benevolent wisdom, lumped them in with the Paiutes, and they are still fighting that. Yeah,
they were actually lumped in with the Paiutes from trees back in the 1800s, and but they traded with the Paiutes. They would go up on top of the mountain, and the Paiutes would come up from the Mono Valley and meet them and trade every year. But their origin.
So basically, the Miwoks are on one side of Yosemite, and the Paiutes are on the other.
Yeah. So the Miwoks are on the west side of the Sierras, and the Paiutes are on the east side of the Sierras.
And actually, the Nez Perce are more closely related to the Paiutes than the Miwoks are.
And Shoshone, yeah, they are.
Yes. Shoshone, Paiutes, yeah. So anyway, that's our show. Thank you so much, Craig, for your contribution. We've got 7 minutes. We actually filled this show with less silly banter than normal.
Than normal, yes. So, thank you.
So if anyone else has something they would like us to cover, please let us know. We're not as brilliant as you think we are, and sometimes it's hard to be creative. So if you've got stuff, please let us know. You can email him at squatchoregon@gmail.com. What did the Miwoks say about pictographs and petroglyphs? This is your favorite thing! Did they say it was First Nations and not them that made them? Could First Nations be Sasquatch-type tribes? Talk. You got about 3 minutes to talk.
No, the Miwok do not believe that it was First Nations Bigfoot that made the pictographs. They make their own. I've seen many of their pictographs and petroglyphs. They have them all over.
The best petroglyphs was the one that denoted
what?
UFOs and aliens. That's another story.
That's another story for another time. If you want to hear that, I actually was on an archaeological dig and found.
That would be a great show if we wanted to deviate from Bigfoot.
Deviate from Bigfoot a little bit, but I was on a dig that had two Miwok sites, and one of them was completely covered in pictographs. Mm-hmm. So they believe that their Miwok ancestors did the pictographs for them, if you go south a little bit, is where that big picture of Bigfoot, the pictograph, not the petroglyph, but the pictograph in Porterville. That's not too far from where the Miwok is, and I'm trying to remember. Oh gosh, the name of that tribe down there. It starts with a T. But they're similar.
They're all related.
They're all related in the Central Valley area, but the Miwok, their origin was in Yosemite Valley, and they ventured out to the coast. So they would go to the coast and fish and get clams and shells and things, and then come back to Yosemite Valley, and then they would trade the shells and stuff with the Paiutes, who were on the other side of the hill, who had obsidian they needed for arrowheads. So anyway, and they believed that Bigfoot, and they actually had pictographs of Bigfoot in the caves down there in that area. So we did get but I'm not going to say where they're at.
We did get because you're not supposed to know.
Yeah.
We did get a suggestion for talking a little bit about the different vocals of Bigfoot. We haven't done a whole lot of that.
We haven't.
That would be a good show.
I could get Ron to come on with us.
Oh, that would be. How would y'all like to have Ron Moorhead on the show? Yeah.
Yeah, if you know who Ron Moorhead is, he did the Sierra Sounds.
The Tule River.
I actually know Ron, so we might be able to get him on. Okay.
Oh, you have audio from last summer? Send that to us.
Yes.
Call, email. If we have enough time to put it together, we love to bring people actually on live. We were going to bring Craig on, but how many of you out there are not tethered to your email? I hardly ever check mine anymore. Yeah. So, okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So we're down to 3 minutes.
All right. She's in Vermont.
Who's in Vermont? What?
We're in Maine.
Yes.
Okay.
I think she was in. She actually. I think you're the one who invited us to come stay on your property. I think. Anyway.
All right.
So, contact us. You know where we are. We're not too far from you right now. So.
Yeah. So.
It is time.
It is time.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes, I did. Okay.
Yeah, I told you. So we're at the Squatch America logo.
Are we?
Yes, that's where we are.
So coming soon.
Squatch America. We're still working on that.
I know it's crazy, but we'll be there. We're going to do some squatching on the coast, the Maine coast this weekend.
Or something.
Somewhere near a place called Bahaba or Bar Harbor.
We're going to be in Wells this week. We're leaving on Tuesday for campground in Wells just to get away from here and so I can get some beach time in. When we were in Portland this last week, I got to spend an afternoon on Old Orchard Beach, and I just thought I was in hog heaven.
All right, so awesome. Just remember, our job is to
investigate the unexplained, not to explain the uninvestigated. With that said, we might speculate a lot about it.
Yes, we will. So, thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Keep it squatchy, and
go out and find Bigfoot.
Bye.
And good night, Dale.